Hello, good morning. This is Happy Jack's RPG Live from Gateway 2019, and it is not quite as early as it could be on Sunday morning. And we're here playing Decuma because it doesn't require any prep.
Yay!
It is the prep.
That's why Kimmy invented the game. She's like, I don't have to do con prep ever again.
Accurate. I'm Kimmy, and you probably know who I am, maybe if you're watching this, and I designed this game. It's still kind of in the last stages of development, so we're still collecting feedback. So if we have time at the end of this game, I will be leaving the room, so Rob can kind of lead a feedback discussion that you guys get to see, and I won't see till later. So these are my players.
Hi, I'm Kurt.
I'm Mac.
I'm Tyler.
Miyamo is Rob.
Chris. I'm James.
Yes, and yes, we are playing Decuma. So the first thing we need to decide, we need to start our agreements for the type of setting. If you're not familiar with Decuma, it's basically the R&D for your RPG is kind of the tagline. It's a tool to create a location.
I like that.
And yeah, it's good marketing there. It creates a location with a map. It creates NPCs. It creates character connections and backstory for a tabletop campaign in any system you want. So if you play D&D, if you play PBTA, Powered by the Apocalypse, any of those things, it really works with any system in any setting. We haven't found one that's broken it yet. But this group could do it, if any group could. So we're going to start with our agreements. We're going to agree on our location, which is kind of like the scope. Are we going to be building a kingdom? Are we going to be building a single house or a castle? Like anything in between there. The setting, is it going to be horror, urban fantasy, sci-fi, that sort of thing, and then the tone that we're going for. So that way we're all kind of working from the same creative platform and the same creative angle. Someone's not thinking, Muppets, while someone else is thinking, Dark Crystal. Those are two very similar but separate things.
Those are
all Muppets.
Okay.
This could go on way
Yeah, but
too
you don't
long.
want Skeksis on the Muppet
Yeah,
Show.
it's different. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe you don't.
we want, but we shouldn't.
Yes. I say those two things because they do have similar components, but are very different vibes.
Okay,
So that
for
is
sure.
why tone
Very true.
is an important discussion to have ahead of time. Yes.
No, this guy's he's singing the Muppet song in my head.
So let's go ahead and start. Do we have ideas for what we want our setting to be?
Yes.
Mac has an idea.
Mac, what's your idea?
Mac, what is your
Traveling
idea?
circus.
Traveling circus. Okay, very
Depression era traveling
Yes.
circus.
Oh,
I
okay.
like
Dust
that.
Bowl.
This is
Dust
gonna
Bowl,
be
yes.
Dust Bowl, traveling circus.
definitely silly tone for the. No, I'm just kidding.
How about
I honestly think
noir tone.
That's literally the
for
only
our
setting
Dust
I
Bowl
can
traveling
accept
circus.
traveling circus
A
as
what?
something that
A
I'm
gothic
interested in.
noir.
Gothic
tone.
noir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for our location, like how big is our location? Are we doing like just the big tent? Are we doing like the whole?
I think definitely
Okay.
the
The
side.
The whole thing.
The whole
Carnival.
site, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's include the train just in case.
Yeah. Casey
Yeah.
Jr., what's up?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that travels.
Yeah.
Very good. And then our tone is gothic noir.
So that means like vampires, dark vampires? Is that what do
Well,
you mean by gothic?
darkness with some mystery, a lot of serious things that don't necessarily have to be taken seriously, but
Like
you
a
tend
nice, like, supernatural.
Supernatural.
kind of
Okay,
that.
yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Are we doing supernatural? Because Gothic Noir doesn't have to have supernatural.
True.
elements.
Yeah.
So gothic noir supernatural.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So Carnival.
Yeah.
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 Thank you, HBO.
Very cool. And Decuma actually
Damn shame
comes.
they never got to finish it.
Well, it will come when it becomes a thing with an agreements card. So we write it on there in your wet erase marker, and then everyone can kind of like refer back to it if you need to. All right. The next thing is we do have an X card on the table. The X card is used for a lot of different things. If you get a card that you dislike,
Thank
you get a card that you dislike, because the mechanic of the game is you flip over the cards, and whichever question is facing you is the question you answer. Sometimes you might get a question that's just boring. That's not interesting in my character, you can X that question. If you get a question that you think we've already answered through the course of another discussion, you can X that, or you can answer it, it's up to you. Basically, if you don't like your card for absolutely any reason, you can X it. You can also use the X card to steer the creation away from certain ideas. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything from oh, you named that NPC Steve, and my dad's name is Steve, and that's weird, and I don't want that in the game.
My dad's name is Steve.
So is mine.
That's weird, and I don't want that in the game.
Hi, human Steve.
See, something that, like I'm a teacher, I work with kids, like when kids come to harm, I often
Oh,
X
yeah.
that out of
Yep.
games.
Yep, same
So it's some things that, like, anywhere on that scale of, I don't want, children and puppies hurt to, that name is dumb. And we will immediately kind of steer away from that. If you are the one kind of leading the discussion because it's your card, we don't ask questions. We don't ask, well, why did you do that?
Right.
We just kind of like, okay, well, we'll go another direction.
go elsewhere.
There's also, you can use the X card for tone. So again, we're going for that dark, noir, gothic, supernatural feel. If someone starts, mentioning,
Cartoons.
gonzo, crazy stuff, you can, I don't really think that's in tone, like that, that sort of thing. Or if something goes the other way, 'cause it's too dark, which seems like we're gonna go really dark. So that's okay.
It's
alright.
Sunday. We supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be fine.
It'll be okay. Tyler, since you are dealing the cards, will you please hand every player 2 red cards and 2 blue cards?
Hand me the
Do
good
not
one.
look at the cards when you get them. Just leave them face down
Is
on the
Kimmy a
table.
player?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right.
She's a player.
Do not look at the.
Sorry, it was 2 red and.
No, 2 blue. I am the game master.
Kimmy controls the horizontal and the vertical.
I do.
What you need to do
Not
next
And a
time.
Z.
set.
I know you like to have players draw on the map, but next time just bring Sam in and just have an overhead and just have him-
Sam draw. He does a good job.
You said bring Sam in. I thought you said
Yeah,
bring
I thought
Sam in,
Sam
and I was
in.
like, what? Like the bear's gonna come and be like, that's our map.
Because we're just gonna locks it up.
I don't know a game that's not improved by having some salmon.
I don't
Like a
know.
little lox.
Think
Right.
about the room
We
and how it
place hand
smells.
every
This got
player.
cheesy real quick.
We place hand every player 1 purple card.
1 purple card.
So the cards are color coordinated. They'll also have symbols on the back. I need 5 of the purple cards for me, please. They will eventually have symbols on the back too to differentiate them, to make them more easy to differentiate for people with color sight impairments and things like that. Each of the colors of card creates a different thing for your game. So the red cards, they create the character connections. So those will be the relationships between the PCs. So it'll say blank, it'll have a blank in there somewhere. That blank needs to be filled with another player character. The blue cards create our location and NPCs in the location. So in those you can use your imagination a little bit more if it's talking about someone. It can be somebody you've made up, it can be somebody we've already made up and you can tie them into another part of the narrative. And it will be also creating location and also the culture of whatever the place is. So there might be slang words that people use in this place, or things they think are good luck and bad luck, or art that they really love in our location. And for us, the location is again the carnival and the train. And then the purple cards are group dynamics. So that creates kind of our relationship as a group to our location, the people in that location. So do we have a good reputation? Do we have a bad reputation? Who owes us money? Who do we owe? Things like that. I think that's just about everything. So first we need to go around and we need to introduce our characters. For this, you can come to the table if you're playing D&D or something with a fully statted out, I've written the backstory, but you need to come with a little bit of flexibility to make connections with other players at the table. For us today, we're literally coming with like a name and maybe an occupation. Like, I'm Sally and I hang the trapeze, or whatever you want it to be. I'm sorry if I took anyone's idea. So does anyone have like an idea of who they want their character to be? Mac was.
I'm sorry, I'm just really excited.
Yeah.
We couldn't tell at
Yeah.
all.
No, not
I
at all.
definitely
No,
have
I
an idea.
You hide it well.
kind of want to be the bearded lady.
Okay.
Cool.
What do you want to play?
Esmeralda the bearded lady.
Esmeralda.
Okay.
All right. I have an idea for mine. I haven't come up with a name yet, but I will in about 3 minutes. But I want to be the geek.
Oh.
What's the
All right.
geek?
The
What's
geek
a
is the
geek,
one who-
Kurt?
A geek is someone who eats weird shit, like bites the heads off of live chickens and such. It's part of the sideshow, and yeah, just oftentimes strangely tattooed, and the irony being I don't have any tattoos, but
I got you covered.
and I'll come up with a name in a minute.
I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna play Abelard, the high wire artist,
Okay.
with a crippling fear of heights.
Nice.
I'm thinking Mr. Z, the promoter.
Ooh.
James, go.
Haven't figured the name yet, but I'm thinking I'll be the mysterious maintenance guy who's always in the corners in odd places fixing things and
One of the
just,
roustabouts.
Yeah, roustabouts. But he just shows up in weird places. No, just fixing the pumps, man. Gotta get these wheels fixed.
Who even told him that was broken?
Where did that pump come from?
And then I think for my character, I'll be the fireman for the train. Like I figure it's like a steam train. What are you doing?
I'm looking at your notebook. It seems weird.
It's a rocket book.
You just write on it with any pen?
I don't
we
think
go.
so. I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to write in your notebook with my pen.
The get your own goddamn notebook. The basically the fireman, but also animal handler, like double duty, so that like basically in charge of making the train go, but also making sure the elephants don't die. If there's an elephant, I don't know.
What was your role again?
High wire artist.
High wire. That's right. Brave heights, right?
Nice.
The geeks tended to have very obscure arcane names, so I'm going with Demosthenes. Demosthenes the geek.
Demosthenes?
Demosthenes.
Demosthenes.
Demosthenes. I think the maintenance guy should just be known as Frank. It's like, hey Frank. Yep.
Frank's last name? No one knows.
All right. So the
He
next
lost it in
It's
the
like
war.
Logan, but not as cool.
He lost it in the war. His
Oh, I
last
love
name
that.
got
Okay,
shot off.
lost it in the war. Got it, Rob. I gotta thank you.
Lost
Your
her
last
last name in the war.
All right, we're gonna go
in the
there.
trenches with those young men.
All right, so now we're going to get started on the map that we're creating together of our location. We're going to start with each of us adding one thing to the map before we start flipping over cards. So I've started our map for us because I'm the GM, and I added the big top to our area. So, and you can add anything you want that you think your character would be important for your character, that you think would be important to the story, that'd be just fun. And we'll just go around in order this way. And you can use the beautiful washable markers that I stole from my classroom.
You didn't steal them,
Borrowed, because you're taking them
They are
back.
going back.
You probably paid for them anyway.
I did.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably yours.
100% did.
I'm gonna put in the sideshow,
Okay.
which is usually long and because it has a whole bunch of individual little booths.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick while you pass that around and everyone add something. And explain what it is. And please label it because I know my art is always perfect and everyone can always tell what it is.
Uh-huh.
But not all of us are so talented.
No, we're not as talented as Kimmy. No.
I can't draw word beat.
Christopher, what's your character's name again?
Mr. Z.
Mr. Z.
As in zebra.
As in the show.
It's a Russian name, he has to go by
Yes.
Z
Yes.
because of the Bolsheviks.
Okay, I'm adding the mystic tent near the sideshow
Oh, my bad.
because we obviously have to have somebody that's like
I called you
reading tarot
Fortune
and
teller.
all that.
Ah,
It's like, that doesn't
Esmeralda
sound right.
probably does some of that too,
It's all good.
because playing the type.
That's a pretty good tent.
That's a very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's
You
almost
wanna
a
show
perfect
the
circle.
You
Yeah.
can
gonna
see
be
where the
seen?
poles
Kimmy's
Not
tent,
really, no.
Max tent.
Yeah.
Is it shaded and everything?
Yeah.
Is that cross hatching?
Contours. You
Add
can almost
some
see the
stars
fabric
through.
as it's
Yeah,
draping.
exactly.
That sideshow mystic tent. I'm gonna add actually the front gate.
Ooh, there you go.
Top out.
No, I was thinking about that myself.
You're such a dick, Tyler. It's the teacher not to come back for fucking.
Rob, what did you say your
I love that you're
character's name
muttering all this. The mics are probably not picking up that Rob is just shit talking. the
was? Actually, the mics probably are.
Yeah, they might be.
Rob, what did you say your character's name was again?
My character's name was Vic Jones.
No, you get a different color.
You
No,
bastard.
you get a different color.
Fucking cock.
Sorry, you got a bad connection. You're breaking up.
It's like flipping through channel and it's like 9 HBOs in a row.
Yeah.
Cock, fuck, dick.
But it filled in the Mad Lib real nice.
bet Rob's amazing at Mad Libs.
I've been known to live a mad or two.
What are you adding, Rob?
Merelda.
The animalas!
Oh.
Woo!
Basically where the cages are. So that the little snot noses, do you want to use
Okay, good.
orange?
Right.
No, you
Yeah,
need,
good.
you need a different color.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hand him green and me purple, or
No,
blue and
blue is
purple.
already used, but
Yeah. The cages for the animals.
I'm trying to think. In the Great Depression, what did they have? Those shitty mechanical.
They had some
Like a Ferris
stuff.
wheel?
Like
Like
it
a
was
Ferris
super
wheel?
basic.
Ooh.
Oh, did they have Ferris? Yeah, I'm sure they had
Yeah.
Ferris.
Ferris wheel had
yeah,
Ferris wheels.
Ferris wheels were since
Teacups were popular because they were
1883.
easy and
Let me see.
to
So we're gonna
pack
have
up.
a Ferris wheel then.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's
Ferris
mechanical.
wheel.
It has to be done manually.
I was like, we
Oh
can.
yeah,
I mean,
The
it
elephant's
doesn't
running
have to
with the
be
Frank's
treadmill.
fixing
exact.
that thing all
Oh,
the time.
No, I think I do.
I'm adding the little cars to the Ferris wheel.
There you go.
I think I put 5 in.
You cannot make accurate maps without little cars to Ferris wheels.
Yes.
Well, otherwise it's just a
Do the first offer.
circle.
Yep.
I
On a
don't
steep.
think I'm doing.
Okay. And I'm going to say that the animal cages are the cars just kind of split up, and that
Oh,
the
yeah.
rest of the train is kind of back here. And at the very end, at the caboose area, is the maintenance shack where all the tools and equipment
Where Frank
are.
can never be found.
Yeah, you can never find him there yet. He always has tools and he always has parts. He's never anywhere near the caboose of the train.
Tyler, what was your character's name again? I'm sorry.
Abelard.
Abelard. Okay.
You spelled that.
I don't give a shit
I know
how
you
I
don't.
spelled it. That's how I fucking
That's it.
pronounce it, and you're gonna like it.
Okay, so train with the
Hey, we
maintenance.
just developed some character conflict.
Wow. Just
Put it
Awesome.
there
Fuck
for
you,
now.
Vic Jones. Piece of shit.
All right. So the way the rounds are going to work is I have only group cards in front of me because I'm the GM. I'm not creating a character. I'm going to flip over one of my cards and read the question. We're going to just think about that. We're going to have think time because I'm a teacher. So we're going to think about that as we go around and everyone answers individual questions. The end of that round, we'll come back to the question that I asked and answer it collaboratively as a group, which means it's something that we all have to agree on.
Right.
As you're going through your individual cards, you kind of have the lead on what direction they go in, but if it's a connection with another character, if it involves their character or their backstory, and it's anything more than just one-sided, you need to get like their consent to create that connection, if that's okay. Just to make sure that that's okay with them, because player agency is a thing. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna start right here. Some people are weird and spin around cards before they flip it over. There is no wrong way to flip over the cards. I get asked that every single time we play this game. If you flip it over, flip it over from the bottom to the top, that's fine. If you flip it over this way, that's fine. However you want to flip them over is correct. There's no wrong way. You're simply going to read the question that's facing you that's at the top of the card, because there are 2 questions on each card. The questions are related to the meanings of each tarot card, and just like real tarot cards, if they're inverted, there's a different meaning. So the way the card is facing does influence like what question you get, but how you flip it over is totally up to your personal preference. I'll do it like this. All right, so something important happened that gave our group shared purpose. What was it? All right, so we're going to be thinking about that as we go around this first round and answer cards. So we're going to go around, and in turn, each of you is going to flip over a red card, one of the character connection cards. Does anybody want to go first? Rob, go first.
Yep. All right.
You flipped that over wrong.
There's a way. She said so.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she
I'm
was
gonna leave
really
now.
clear about that point.
Extremely.
Blank delayed your progress on something important. What was it? Let me think. I'm gonna say that Mr. Z. Yeah? Is that a problem, Chris? Because we're gonna fucking settle it right here. Mr. Z delayed us leaving a town that had decided very recently that we'd overstayed our welcome. And Mr. Z was trying to calm down the town as opposed to us just getting the fuck out of Dodge. And it very well could have been dodge.
The route goes in a circle,
Mm-hmm.
which means we have to get back to the town again.
There are other train tracks.
All right, cool. And that's cool with you, Chris?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
definitely something Mr. Z would do.
Okay. Who would like to flip over the red card next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Blank makes you think of things in a way you never have before. I'm going to say it's Frank that makes Abelard think about things in a way he never has before, because Frank's a fairly mysterious guy, but he will always have a conversation with somebody and dispense bizarrely accurate sage advice. Like somehow he not only
Pressure.
fixes machines, he fixes people.
Okay.
People are just machines.
Yeah, it's just a form of biological
Organic
machine.
machine.
Yeah.
Well, is that all right with you?
I'm very.
Perfect. All right, next red card.
Sure. You helped Blank when they were at their lowest. How did you help them? So, I think I maybe helped Abelard, who was literally at his lowest because he was terrified of getting back up on the trapeze. And I think that Esmeralda does a little bit of like the working in the mysticism tent and kind of did like the here's your magic feather, you can do it moment.
I like that.
You're
Yeah,
Timothy
there you
Mouse.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can. And it's just like, okay, otherwise there's going to be a really sad show.
Sad,
The
sad.
worst high wire act ever.
Right?
It's
Can't
6
get the wire any lower.
inches off the ground. Just a cable laying on the ground. Whoa!
Nice. All right.
Yeah, to get up on
Excellent.
the wire. See.
Yeah. All right, next red card.
Sure. Blank can usually read you like a book, whether you want them to or not. And the red cards are PC interaction.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I
blank.
just
will
wanted
be
to
a
confirm
person.
that.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Frank on this. I mean, I didn't want to be the first person to repeat, but it was like, Frank is wise in the way of so many things, and really disturbingly so, actually. He sees through my mask just like it's not there.
Nice. Cool.
All right. Game question, super
Yes.
quick.
Mhm.
Do you have to start with PC cards?
Nope. There's actually a whole bunch of variations listed in the rulebook. They're all named after tarot cards. I'm proud of that. So you can actually play. There's a bunch of different ways to play. You can use none of the red cards if you want. So if you're playing something like Powered by the Apocalypse, that generally has a bunch of built-in character connection questions, then you can just use the blue cards to create your location and the purple cards to create the group dynamics. Same thing if you're playing D&D in Waterdeep or something, you've already got a super fleshed out location, you can just play with the red cards and the purple cards and get those character connections and then use the stuff that's already been built for you. And then there's a bunch of other variations, and Jason keeps coming up with new ones. So you can play, there's no wrong way to play the game.
Cool.
I like starting with character connections first because I find that helps answering the first group question. It makes it easier because you start having connections to each other, and it also makes the next level of adding to the map. We've already done a preliminary adding to the map, so it's nice to have a little bit of space to develop deeper things in between that. And I find the next round of adding things to the map based on questions, you get more interesting answers after people have already started to figure out who they are.
Okay.
So that's generally why I go that way. But I will flip it up, like I usually do relationship questions, location questions, and then the other two I kind of do in different orders.
Gotcha.
So the last thing though is the purple questions that from everybody are last.
Okay.
Those need to be last. So cool.
So I'll go ahead and do mine.
Okay.
You avoid setting off Blank's ego but it's difficult. and
Chris
those
looks away.
listening,
I don't think I've
Chris
ever seen everybody at
and
the table
Rob
look at the
both looked away. And since Rob is pointing at Mr. Z, apparently Frank is concerned about. I wrote
Vic
it down over
Jones?
here. Yeah, Vic's setting off Vic's ego because while he's an excellent train engineer, I just he's almost as full of himself as a steam engine. So, but you know, you got to give the man props, you know, because he does know what he's doing.
Yeah.
As long as it's about the train.
Nice.
Elephants, not so much, but he keeps them alive.
Chris, I think you're the last one with the right card.
Okay. You had a thing with blank, but it didn't work out. What went wrong?
And that doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic connection. It can be.
It should be an argument. Right?
Yeah, it can
Yeah.
be anything.
Partnership, business
Yeah,
partnership.
business
I think.
partnership, anything.
Could be a pancake. You had a pancake. It didn't work out.
It's bad when pancakes don't work out. It's not good.
It's sad.
It's the most depressing thing. It's like there was so much potential.
It's like the great depressing thing.
Oh. That's our shared group thing. Shitty pancakes one time.
I'm not sure that matches our tone.
I do that does though. So.
Me too.
Okay. I think I'm trying to think who would be. Is there a character that would be, a mystic or a soothsayer or a
What's
The
up?
bearded lady.
Okay, so I
Relevant.
think that I went to you for spiritual counsel to read the future, particularly about business.
Sure.
And where's the next town? You know, how's Tulsa going to take us? And and then
Better than Dodge.
and I think that I started not liking your answers, so I think you're a hack. But you've been right every time.
Oh, because she
I
didn't tell you what you
don't
wanted
want-
to hear.
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah.
want to hear it. But I'm convinced you're a hack, and I don't go to you anymore for that.
Did you first do this in early October of 1929?
Yeah, you know,
I see much death.
Sell on October 28th.
But no,
Sell
it was still
everything.
going up. I need to stick it
Buy
up
on October 30th.
Polish your crystal ball, lady.
Nice, good. All right, that's one red card for everyone?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going back and we're answering this question. Something important happened that gave our group shared purpose. What was it? And that is our group specifically. So out of all the people who work with this traveling circus, what about the six of you? Like something happened with the six of you to bring you together.
Okay, that.
I think it was the getting out of Dodge.
Yeah.
I think there was a thing.
Dodge,
You know,
Dodge City can't.
Yeah.
That's it.
yeah. That's it again. I think it was, I had, Vic got the train going and we were getting all the people on and, the last thing was he kept trying to talk to him and be nice and we were all like, he won't listen to anybody, so we'll grab him, you get the train going, and we just collectively got him out of there probably right before, I don't know, a gunshot went off
So-
and, maybe nicked his hat,
Yeah,
something
to
like that.
to that end, what was the causation that required our expedient departure?
I probably ate somebody's chicken.
Yeah, I'm thinking he ate the wrong chicken.
Well, I mean, we were low on funds, and so you
And
ended up like stealing a chicken to.
Yeah,
well,
do the
Hungry,
show.
what?
And you had to do the show. Yeah.
So poultry theft.
Yeah. I want to make sure we're staying in tone though, because I do want it to be dark. So it's like, because that's kind of where we're going.
Yeah.
So I like the low on funds kind of desperation. That
Yeah.
kind of brings it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Or maybe there was a couple other things that they had noticed missing because we had to
Yeah,
do
we're
this.
being
Yeah.
accused.
And,
of-
yeah.
The chicken was the last straw, but there was
Well,
a couple other
the
things.
chicken was easily tied to me.
And
There you go.
And then the other's like, oh, and my watch is missing. Oh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We became the scapegoat.
They say if we
Yeah.
want to take it even darker, the rest of the carnival was against us. That each of us was at some point, well, not
Yeah.
necessarily Vic, but who was just trying to delay it, was accused of taking something or some act against the town.
Yeah.
And we had to band together and then prove our innocence, but not before we got shot at.
Yeah.
But we can escalate it a bit, and that there was, since it's the depression, a lot of people are turning towards where they would have, I can't remember when you would have churches out And
Oh, the
revival
revival.
tent.
The revivals.
Okay.
So there was a
Tent revivals,
revival
yeah.
nearby
Oh,
us.
shit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so they were sort of like, we're the
Yeah.
other, and
Yeah.
we're sort of the problem, and you know,
Right.
we think the combination
Or
of
the
stealing
bearded lady
chickens-
made too many accurate things, so
Oh,
that
and
like
then there
upset
was-
the
Oh.
creature. And then there was some stealing stuff going on because we needed a little extra resources because they weren't quite coming as readily as we'd hoped.
So we're bringing darkness to Dodge,
Yeah.
and we were driven
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that
Yeah.
there's a combination of many small things that
Yeah.
happened
That just
that
added
this
up.
revival tent was kind of keeping track of, and they used it to
Mhm.
to like persecute
Yeah.
you and turn people against you.
And one of the only times I ever saw him on the caboose was when he was grabbing this one. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
There's a great evil in this town.
Yeah.
Great.
We'll organize a
Drive
meeting,
them out.
we'll perform, and we'll show you that we're on the up and up, and hey.
Exactly.
And some of it might be true, and some of it might not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We don't, or
As
we
a
shall find out.
GM, I like all the possibilities that gives me.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. All right, our next group question. What is the line that no one in our group will cross? So, what is the line that no one in our group will cross? So, we're going to think about that as we answer. This time, we're going to flip over a blue card. So, we can do that in any order.
I'll start since I
Sure.
was
Okay, Kurt will go first.
Oh,
I guess I won't
Yep.
start.
Sorry.
Our location has a place that you feel is cursed or bad luck. What is it?
Nice.
It's gonna be
And for all of these questions, we're going to add something to the map. So even if you get something that's more about the culture, like what music do people like in our location, like add something to represent
okay.
it to the map.
I think I have an idea that.
And make sure to label.
Yeah.
legibly.
Yeah.
I took it at kindergarten. It's pretty hard to write something that I can't read.
Is that a challenge?
I've read your brain.
No, don't. No,
Don't.
it's not a challenge.
Kimmy,
Oh,
Kimmy,
no.
it's not a challenge.
No, it's fine. You have the worst writing.
Because the
lab,
rest
you
of
win.
us have to read too.
I just wanna,
Okay, so
That bad.
No, it's not.
I think that this location. I'm identifying a location, right? That has
Yep,
that
drawing
You
a
think
note.
it's
or bad
cursed.
luck. So I think this might tie into that as well. The Ringmaster's Vardo.
What's a Vardo?
Thank you, Rob.
It is a wagon slash domicile. It's like an early RV, popularized by Romani peoples.
Oh, I got you.
Yep.
So to avoid using horrible slurs,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
He's one of the few people that gets to live by himself.
I can imagine that would be a pretty big deal.
If you try hard enough, you can find your alone spots.
Nice. So that is what you think is bad luck and curse.
I walk like all the way around it.
Okay.
Like no. Because if I have to talk to the ringmaster, I ask somebody else to talk for him. Talk to him for me.
Cool. Who wants to? You want to do yours next, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna mess up the order though.
Blue.
I know. It's blue.
Where in our location do you go to better yourself? I leave the location. No.
The bar.
To
Is-
better. Okay, so it might not be even be to relax. It might be just self-reflection. Or I think we have a. Oh, we can't create NPCs, can we? At
Yeah,
this point,
yeah,
we can?
absolutely.
Okay.
I just
Just
created a
creating
ringmaster.
ringmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Because you're the hype man and the ringmaster are two different people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Or
we have a
not.
chaplain and like a little chapel.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
And-
a lot of times the showrunner was the ringmaster, but it wasn't a requirement.
Yeah. What's that person's name?
The chaplain is Pastor Hines.
Okay. We write that on the map as well.
Yes.
We should also come up with
Ringmaster's name?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
I'll yeah.
and since our psychic has done very little for me,
the.
I go to the pastor
Okay.
to better myself.
Too bad it hasn't worked.
Oh.
I'm not sure how to spell Hines.
H-Y-N.
I really messed
You
it
made
up.
him up, so it's however you spell it.
Oh.
Would you also add the ringmaster's name on there next to the ringmaster's wagon? And what did you
What's
say?
his
it
name,
was?
Kurt?
What?
The
The,
ringmaster?
The ringmaster's name?
oh, I hadn't yet.
Okay.
I hadn't yet.
Quick, fast.
Is that German?
I had yet.
You know what?
He hadn't yet.
His name is Tim Cratchit.
Okay.
Oh.
Tim Cratchit. That's such a normal name comparatively. Demosthenes, Esmeralda, Abelard, Frank,
next?
Tim.
Are you next?
Sure, I can
Little
be next.
Timmy Cratchit.
My apologies.
You're good.
Status.
Same thing.
Our location was generous with someone, but they took advantage of us. What happened?
So the location, that means like the whole carnival in
Right.
that case.
Was generous with someone, but they took advantage of us. What happened? I almost want to say the preacher's daughter was trying to be helpful to us, and he took offense at that. And instead of punishing her, punished us. And that's kind of gotten us to that untrusting of outsiders. We'd rather just, do the show and fleece them.
Oh, because we were trying to do good and it bit us on the ass.
Right.
Did
So you
she
mean
join
the
us?
I'm thinking she left with us because she was tired of being with the dad.
She ran away and
She,
joined the
she,
circus.
she ran away. Yeah. And so, but then maybe in the next town she's planning to skip out.
Okay.
Right? So she just wanted to ride out of town instead of, and so now we're like,
So that, you mean from the revival tent?
yes,
Okay, got
the
it.
preacher from the revival tent, so his daughter.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, let's say she boarded up with the, what's a good piece? The guy that we trust to run the tickets, the ticket booth in front. So let's have a ticket booth in front, and let's say that he's one of the younger kids in our thing, and he's kind of gotten sweet on her, but she's just kind of using him and us. And
get away
so,
from Dad.
yeah,
Okay.
to try to get away from daddy problems. So I'm gonna go ticket booth here.
Is he one of the few people that can actually do math?
Yes, that's one of the reasons he's in the ticket booth.
He's got all his fingers.
Yeah,
Oh,
he can
yeah.
count on all fingers
Still.
and toes.
And what's
What?
her
I was
name?
hungry.
We're gonna call her Clarice.
Okay.
Laddie.
Clarice. And let's say the ticket booth is. Let's not go Johnny. Let's go Kevin. I like
Kevin.
it, Kevin with two E's.
Oh, K-E-V-E-N.
Yeah. So we have
was like
Clarice
Kevin?
and Kevin. One of my best friends spells it that way, so that's why I was kind
Nice.
of.
All right. Next.
There we go.
Blue card.
I'll do
Matt,
it.
you wanna
I saw Mac's hands moving, so I was like,
go?
Upset people in our location demand to be heard. Who are they and what do they want?
And if you feel like we've already answered a
I
question,
feel
you
like
can
we
exit.
answered this kind of in the last one,
Sure.
like with our group thing. So I'd actually like to do a different card.
So you can exit that and grab a new blue card.
Okay.
At the bottom of the blue pack.
Someone in our location brings up sad memories for you. Who is it? What do they remind you of? I think there's a younger girl who's part of the sideshow that is in the, it's like the woman changes to gorilla kind of thing, like the old Pepper's Ghost kind of thing. And she reminds me of my daughter who decided to leave the circus.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
You gotta sling some of the markers
Yep,
right down here.
swinging the markers that direction. There, pass.
Well slung.
Well, I don't want to just.
Nice
I'm not going to
swinging.
just throw them. Not like a packet of name tags coming 20 feet
You have to admit that was
joke.
Oh no, it was perfectly timed.
I didn't even see where they came from. I was just like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to. Can we get like $1 million in here somewhere?
Well, I love how the portal guy immediately starts taking credit.
All right. Very good. Next
Tyler.
All right.
person.
Someone in our location is richer than all the others. Who? What rumors have you heard about them?
And I'm gonna name the NPC Priscilla.
Okay. Perfect.
Cool.
The first thing that pops into my head is because we're playing Carnival is management. So that there is someone who runs the circus, the entire carnival, that is significantly wealthier than everyone else, and there's a bit of towards them.
A thought.
All right.
To put in there to think about. That's kind of, they expect the owner to be rich, but what if it's the games master, the person who runs
who's even
the
wealthier
actual-
than management,
and seems to be wealthier than management, but that's all supposed to go to the whole carnival.
And the rumors we've heard about the games master is that he is actually the power behind the throne, as it were. That he secretly owns everything, and that's why.
But doesn't
he
want
gets-
anybody to know.
But doesn't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the
that's great.
spotlight.
So,
on him.
so we're gonna
Exactly.
make
So yes, he has patsies.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
it called? The fairway.
Fairway.
fairway,
Yeah,
yeah.
fairway.
Yeah, I don't know.
This
Pull
is
out
not a
all
very
these
well
terms.
laid out
What's
carnival.
that called?
but-
It's okay.
No.
Well, it changes every time we
right.
stop somewhere, so that's fine.
So I'll put the fairway in there.
And we need a name for the games master.
It's going to be
I think that's the rule.
Cornelius.
Ooh, yeah, I like that name.
He's not hiding that he's rich very well with a name like that.
Yeah.
Cornelius J.
Cornelius
Fraud.
Thistlethwaite.
Yeah.
Thistlethwaite the Third.
Oh, yeah.
Esquire.
That's fine. We're just gonna keep adding.
Nice. Is that all?
No.
Rob still has to go.
I got to go blue.
Yep.
How are exceptional members of our location recognized? Well, I feel like in a carnival, anybody that brings in more money than the person next to them is raised on the hierarchy. For somebody living hand to mouth, the most important thing would probably be food. So people get bigger portions of both the breakfast and the dinner meals.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a mess tent.
They eat
Oh,
first and they
perfect.
eat best.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They get your spot in the chow
In the line. Yeah.
is not first come first serve. It's no,
It's
this
rank.
is for the yeah. I like
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like that. Yeah.
Nice.
That's not your spot. No, I'm holding it for. Be here. Oh man, what? Just curious. If somebody doesn't show up for breakfast or is late to breakfast, does everybody who's ranked lower to them have to wait?
It depends on hierarchy.
Okay.
So for instance, if you're like a master of something, then food is held off to the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say they keep a plate warm and it's the best choices.
Oh, okay.
Or
Right.
Yeah.
that grade kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that there's still a very functional aspect to it in that we have to open at a certain time. Things have to get ready at a
Right.
certain time.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
People have
It's,
to-
yeah, it's still a machine,
Yeah.
so
Right.
you don't want to hold it up for one of the cogs.
Right.
But they'll hold the plate off so
Sure.
they don't.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
Do we want to
Answers the
come up
question.
with with our cook?
Yeah, I was about to ask. Do we need
Okay.
a cook?
I can cook.
cookie.
I cook.
I'm just gonna say the same thing. It's like, super
Yeah,
clever.
yes.
Everyone calls him
Yes.
Cookie.
Well,
Cookie the cook. Yep. There we go.
regardless of what their name is.
Yeah, it's
not
always
always
cookie. Yeah.
Again, he lost it in the war.
But it's not because
Actually-
he cooks; it's that he really likes cooking.
No,
You
no,
can call
no.
him that.
I think it's fair enough that this person probably was a mess, like not a
Yeah,
mess
right,
officer, but
right,
like
but- yeah.
part of that, and
Yeah.
so they did lose their name in the war
Right.
because ever
Everyone
since
just
the
called
war
him Cook-
they've been cookie.
Cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
because you can't afford.
And that's everyone's blue card.
I have one blue. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We're all good.
So our group question was,
Say they
what
were
is
good.
the one line that no one in the group will cross?
So what I was going with the Vardo is nobody crosses the ringmaster. Fortunately, he doesn't throw his weight around a lot, but if he does, It's
Right,
like, oh,
because I like that idea because the ringmaster usually sets the schedule for the shows and the order of certain
Yeah.
things to happen.
right.
So yeah, I think that's the one person. Maybe or maybe nobody messes with the order
And
of
he
the
has a
mess
direct he has a direct line to management.
Well, I think
Or
let me just extend it
Uh-huh.
further. I mean, he is probably representative of management
Yeah.
on the daily. And because of that, nobody skims. And because it's a cash business and
Sure.
Yeah.
things get pocketed and stuff like that. But the last couple people that have tried to have disappeared in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
there was a rumor that somebody was
Skimming,
doing it,
and then all of a
then
sudden
they
they
ended
left.
up away.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. Nobody's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, how does Cornelius Thistlethwaite tie into that? If he's thought to be the richest person in the carnival and nobody skims.
Right. That's the mystery.
That's the
Okay,
mystery.
Yeah.
mystery.
He
Okay,
doesn't
cool.
disappear, but he seems to be richer, but nobody skims, so how's he richer?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Yeah. Do they have a deal? Do they not have a deal? Does
We
it-
can't talk about it.
Right, yeah, well, definitely not.
That's a
openly.
line we don't cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that a lot. Okay.
Cool. All right.
Next round, the question. Our group had a streak of bad luck and nearly ended. So the group as in the 6 of you. What happened?
I kind of feel like.
Oh, end of the round.
Sorry.
Thanks for your time. I know it's exciting. Hold on to it. All right, so this time we're going to go through and we're going to do red cards again. So, who is not? There you go.
Tyler, grabbing the bull by the horns.
You used blank to get ahead. What did you do, and do they know?
Steroids.
That's tough. That's
You can do it, buddy.
We're here for you.
I think Rob just volunteered.
Oh,
So
shit. I didn't mean. Sorry. So, how you doing?
I think there was an issue with something Abelard had done, and when pressed for it, he threw Vic under the bus
Oh, you fuck.
to make himself look better to management, and because Abelard doesn't really like Vic.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, it could be worse. He could have thrown you under the train.
Yeah.
So he
Well, way on train,
basically
way to go.
framed Vic for something he did.
Do I know?
No, you don't know. Well, you don't know that it was me that did it. You know you were unjustly accused of something,
Yeah.
probably theft. And
I think it would be more like messing with something, right? To
Well,
take
it's
it.
Tyler's card.
Oh,
I'm gonna
sorry.
say it was theft. That Abelard stole something because it reminded him of someone from his past, and when confronted with it, couldn't accept that, so threw Vic under the bus on it.
Got it. Cool.
So some like trinket that belonged to somebody
Right.
else. You weren't skimming.
Not skip, not absolutely. It was theft, probably from a guest,
Yeah.
and was caught, and Vic got blamed for it. But because Vic is instrumental in keeping the train going, they couldn't fire him, and that's why he picked Vic. Also because fuck that guy.
He gets the last victims.
Nice. Very good. Okay.
Yeah, it probably dropped your meal status down
Yeah.
a couple of
Right.
notches
Yeah.
for a
You
while.
get the slop at the end of the.
Not as much bacon.
All right.
But yeah, you don't know.
Yep.
Blank makes you wonder what life would be like if you had chosen a different path.
You're in a bad spot when you have to look up to somebody else at the carnival.
You're like, could have been me.
Well, it could be the other way.
Well,
Yeah,
or it could make you long for something you chose not to have in your life.
Yeah.
Or it can make you go,
So-
ooh, that could have been me.
Yeah.
That's true.
There, but for the grace.
Right?
Yeah.
And with these, it can be PCs, but can it also be NPCs?
For the red cards, it should be a PC.
You wanna keep it as
Yeah,
a
if you can. Yeah. But again, it doesn't have to be a positive thing. It can be negative. It can
Yeah.
be anything you want.
Let's see. I think it's your character. how do you say it?
Demosthenes.
Demosthenes.
It's Greek.
I think being around other people in like the sideshow and stuff, and like trying to parse out where she fits in all of that, like it's not where she would have picked to be. You know, she would rather be somewhere that was more legit, or maybe like actually maybe working like with a revivalist group or something where she could be making maybe a little bit more money and have less issues with people just writing her off as this kind of creepy like bearded lady mystic. And so I think it's just a reminder of where she falls on the social ladder when, you know, probably hangs out a lot with, you know, all the sideshow people, and they have like a clique within the circus.
Nice.
Very cliquish, yeah. That works really well with what's going on in my own head about my own character too. So
Nice.
I think the idea that he's a classically trained actor,
Yeah. No, I like that.
right?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, another red card.
I'll do it.
Okay.
You shared an epic failure with blank, but it brought you closer.
I love the art.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is a
I wish
cool
that they
selection.
could see it.
Yeah, it's nice. And unfortunately, I don't have the rights to print the actual game with this art. So Samantha is actually going to do custom art for all the
Oh,
cards.
cool.
Oh, very cool.
Which one of the things we're going to kickstart for is to pay her for her time to do that.
That makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
the
sure
artist.
she appreciates
Yeah.
it.
We're looking for to have them be like shadow puppet art, like the backlit shadow puppets.
Oh,
so it's a bit more genre generic. So you can
Oh.
kind of look at it and kind of imagine sci-fi, or because these are very fantasy, but that way
Yeah.
you're not like trying to plan your generation ship and have like elves and stuff.
Right.
On the cards. Not that you can't have elves in a generation ship. All right, sorry, James. Go ahead.
Yep, no worries. Gave me time to think. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I shared an epic failure with Vic because Vic and I couldn't get something fixed at the right time. And normally I have everything fixed just in time. It's one of the one times, and he's probably the only one that knows that we had a bit of a failure there for a while, and it was very difficult. But it brought us closer because he felt I was a little more human than I am, and I felt he was a little better than he thinks he was.
A little more human than you are.
Yeah. I'm going to start
No,
feeding a little more into that.
I picked up on that. A little more. Wait, what?
I feel like you've got a very solid idea. Of
Yeah,
what your
I got a bit of an
character is.
idea.
I have one too, and I can't wait till we're done with this to share those.
I know. That's what they last. So is that
I
okay with
obviously
you,
could-
Rob?
Yeah.
Cool.
Good,
Perfect.
Good.
Nice.
Then that's mine.
Cool. Next red card.
You harmed blank once, but they don't know that it was you.
And that can be any type of harm. It could be physical, financial, emotional, anything.
Spiritual.
Spiritual, yes. Maybe not.
Okay. Somebody's being harmed out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or thinks she is, or he.
Um,
No, I want the cookie.
I do want to.
okay.
Cookies good.
Should've brought
Abelard.
cookie.
I think I was trying to push Abelard a little harder to do more tricks because, you know, in my promotional brain is like, okay, just a high wire. Can we, like, you know, I don't know, juggle or
We set
do
something on
do
fire.
something, yeah. And so I thought I was helping by suggesting ideas, but it probably came off as criticism, and that may have been what punctured.
Cause that fear.
Yeah, I could put that fear, that seed of fear in there. But you wouldn't have necessarily made that connection, and I wouldn't have necessarily have. I'm just thinking I'm sort of a reckless manager and promoter, and I'm thinking more about the show and less about the person.
That's good.
It's a little subtle, but I think it
Subtle's good. That's fine. Noir can be subtle.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, another red card. Rob and Kurt are the only ones who are left. I think.
I'll
Go
do
ahead.
Blank convinced you to do something risky and you regret it. What did you do? I'm gonna say Esmeralda gave me some advice after seeing something. Do something risky. And I regret it. What did I do? That's the hard part. I feel like the person's the easy one. What would I have done? In dodge, let's keep using that dodge thing because it seems to be something that we're focused on. She actually convinced me to go into town and start talking to somebody that I found attractive who had come to the carnival. Like it was a little bit more of like a love advice, like no, you can do it. Like, you know, go out beyond yourself. And I regret it for a variety of reasons. It reinforced the idea that townspeople don't respect us, number one. Treated very differently. There was probably some physical harm that came to me, as well as emotional harm because outside of these gates, she wasn't interested. So there was probably like a little bit of a reassessment of my place in society that went along with that.
Damn, Rube was just slumming it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Cool. All right, Kurt.
All right. You tried to impress blank and succeeded. What did you do to impress them? I think it was Mr. Z. Because if I am classically a trained actor, and sometimes you just get tired of eating weird shit, and you want to branch out, and I went in and said, look, let me just audition a brief monologue for you and add it to the act, right?
I didn't know you could do that.
Maybe
Very
a little
amazing.
Othello or
Sure. Put you on this schedule. Put you on a poster.
Yeah, something like
The tattooed actor.
You're like the amputee from the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh yeah.
He's like a phenomenal performer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just amazing. Yeah.
That's the kid who played Dudley in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh,
yeah.
really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
recognize it.
Interesting. All right.
Lost a lot of weight.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not what I meant, but yeah.
But that rings true.
You're a terrible person. All right.
It cost him an arm and a leg.
Oh, twice.
Twice. Yeah.
All right. Our group,
Tone.
Tone. Our group had also just taste. Our group had a streak of bad luck and nearly ended. What happened?
I was thinking about this the whole time, that after we got run out of Dodge, and when the preacher's daughter joined us, everybody started having terrible luck with things. Like Demosthenes probably ate a bad chicken head and was sick and couldn't perform.
Salmonella.
Esmeralda could only give bad news with her prophecies. Like she could only tell people the bad things that were going to happen to them, which of course is going to affect your business.
Right.
That's exactly
even
why
if
I
it's
don't
true.
go to her anymore.
Abelard, that's when the fear started hitting him, and he was having difficulties getting up on the tightrope and doing his act.
Yeah.
Frank, because you were injured.
He's Vic. I'm
Vic,
Frank.
sorry. Vic, because you were injured, you had trouble getting the animals into cages, and it
Had trouble
took
focusing.
longer, trouble focusing. Mr. Z, because you delayed our departure, people didn't trust you, and that had to be rebuilt, and it just took a long time, and it was just bad thing after another. And Frank, I was like, what bad could happen to Frank? It's just too much
Well,
work.
I had that.
He
Well,
had
I had that
for the
thing.
first time. He
For the
couldn't-
first time,
Right.
there was something I couldn't just fix.
Oh, and you got the yips from it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
That's just my idea. I
Yeah,
don't-
no, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
Everybody
I like
just had,
it.
it was just like this stream, like we were in a horrible slump, and
Yeah.
everything that we had been previously been really good at,
Yeah.
we just couldn't do.
Yeah. We
Nice.
had it together, and then it kind of almost fell apart. It's like, no, we can pull together and help each other. And
So all we have to do now is murder the preacher's daughter, and we'll get our luck back.
Well, I was going to
Clearly.
say, all that sounds like a metaphor for America in 1932.
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
there we go. Everything we were good at, we just couldn't do.
So we
Alright.
have to murder.
Nice. All right, so that's all. So that was our group question. So next round we'll be doing our last blue cards. And we were involved in a mystery that was never solved. What happened and why wasn't it solved? Do we like that, or do we feel like we've already answered that question?
No, we can. I think we can go.
Okay.
With the preacher's daughter, we can do it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Let's go through
normal.
and flip over our blue cards. This will be adding to the map. So when you flip over your card, add something to the map to represent it. Okay. Who has not gone first yet?
I don't think Chris has.
Okay,
I've gone
Chris.
first.
Chris, go.
Oh, okay.
2 people haven't. We've only done 3 rounds.
Yeah.
You are torn between 2 people in our location. Who and why are they at odds? 2 people. Okay, so this is.
I mean, it can be, that one can include like a PC if it's an NPC and a PC, but yeah, so it's 2 different people in the location.
I think I'm torn between Pastor Hines and Esmeralda.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to find the
Yeah.
truth. I'm seeking understanding and trying to find answers, as they say.
Yeah, and you came for advice during that bad spat where we're having all the bad laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been like, Pastor Hines is great on spirituality and he's good on scripture, but he's not so good on practical matters. Yeah, you kept on giving me bad things,
Bad news.
bad news, and so I think there's probably a conflict there.
How does that add to the map?
Well, that's a good question.
That was when you said that, I was like, I think, yeah.
Well, again, as she said, it doesn't have to be specifically a location so much. It could be just an object,
So yeah, you can add something.
Yeah.
a focus point, a physical
Or maybe
focus
this is
point.
where you go to think about that conflict. Maybe
Or
something
maybe
like
the walking path between the 2 places, because
There
they
you
are
go,
kind
yeah.
of opposite each other on the map, which is a kind of a cool look.
And you just pace back and forth.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, is there something along or something in the middle of the big top? Because it looks like the big top's kind of that central location.
Well, as the promoter, I think there is. I think it's the stage in the big top
Okay.
Okay.
where
Okay.
I go by myself in between the 2
With the
dichotomies.
single light focused on you.
Yeah.
Stage.
Standing there dramatically.
Yeah.
I'll even do like the Fresnel. Oh, I kind of did the Fresnel in the wrong direction, but
Nice.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it.
Stage.
So we'll call that the stage.
Yeah. There we go.
Cool.
That was kind of hard.
Let's go next.
That was good.
Whoever would like to go? Alright, Mike will go.
Someone has
Harsh
lots of
match.
ideas for a location but might have shady motives. Who is it? Lots of ideas for a location but shady motives. What don't we have yet that is this? Let's see.
Yeah.
I think maybe we have another ride that's like a dark ride, and the guy who is overseeing that has got a lot of ideas for making it more, people love rides, and so that's what they're focused on, is incorporating more of that, but in like really shady means in ways that would be like potentially really dangerous to the visitors.
Is it like a Funhouse Hall of Mirrors?
Yeah, I
kind
was
of thing?
thinking.
Or one of those
I was
thinking
haunted
like one of
train
those,
ride
like,
things,
haunted,
or
like,
walk
train ride
tunnels
dark
of love.
ride.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
Your
cool.
doom.
Kind of where you find out you like had an actual corpse in there for,
Yeah.
for years.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't a fake mummy.
No.
And it wasn't an Egyptian mummy.
Nope.
It was a daddy the whole
In
time.
time.
Damn it, Rob.
Tone.
This isn't in game.
I'm only mad that he said it before I
I'm gonna X card Rob the puns.
I'm gonna say the one with the ideas is Jackson.
Jackson. I like that.
Jackson.
Hmm? Damn it, Jackson. Sorry.
Jackson.
All right, next blue card.
All right.
I like the dramatic pause, Tyler.
I was trying to decide which way I wanted to turn it. I was like, do I want to flip it or do I want to?
Yeah.
A powerful group is against our location. What are they and why do they hate us?
Damn Christians.
I was torn between the church and the law.
Ooh.
I think I'm gonna go with the law.
Yeah, let's add an element.
I like
yeah.
The law hates what we do because we come in, we
Disrupt.
things, we change up the day-to-day of the towns. We go shake it up. We put ideas in
We're
people's heads about
strangers
the world,
affecting
Yeah.
the economy,
and so they always come looking for us when something goes wrong in town. When we're there, it's automatically our fault.
Right.
Yep.
yeah.
And for the location on that, I'm gonna or something.
I mean, to be fair, we are cheap carny trash. But
Well, we could just put
We
maybe
may
a
be cheap
star for
carny
a
trash, but
cop,
we're honest
So every
cheap
town
carny
there's always a
trash.
cop.
Always.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
It could be that they're always rolling by in their car.
Oh, so be like
The
the
vehicle
front
is the
drive.
location.
Yeah,
Yeah. That they basically make a
drive-bys on us.
perimeter that is dangerous for us because they're always there looking for something.
Right. Cool idea.
Draw that car, buddy.
I'm not gonna try. I'm trying to figure out what to name it.
Paddy Wagon Trail.
Town roads.
Paddy wagon was a preferred term for a while.
All right. Who's next?
Who's next? Who got it? I got
Sure.
one.
I'll go.
Okay.
Do you go?
Nope.
Okay.
Somebody.
I'll go.
Okay.
Our location is celebrated for something that happened in the past. What happened? You know, we don't have a strongman yet. So I'm going to say that our strongman actually came from one of those world's strongest contests, but he didn't like staying in one location, so he joined us. So he has given us a certain level of fame because he's traveling along with us, and he was actually at one point listed as the world's strongest man.
So,
And so
And he's
sense
like a
of
mainstream
legitimacy.
athlete.
Yeah, a sense of legitimacy. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. So,
I like that, dude.
and I'm thinking like he does. Let's say that he does the strength tests
yeah.
thing. He runs that and also holds the things up. So
The old timey barbells.
yeah, the old timey barbell.
But like
so,
he'll pick up like women, like
Yeah.
2 on each
Oh, yeah.
arm kind
Yeah.
of a thing. Like
yeah, tick off their boyfriends. Yeah, that kind of thing.
a lot of photo opportunities
Mhm.
for the
Does
two
he wear a
people that
singlet and have like
cameras.
a excessively curly mustache?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Handlebar.
Big handlebars. Yeah.
Yeah, we trade facial hair tips.
Yeah. You guys like sit there in the mess hall talking about like beard and mustache waxes.
I just remember I added more
Cleaners.
clove to the beard wax.
It
Smells
effervesces.
And let's see. Let's call.
What's his name?
For some reason, I want to call him Jean Claude.
That's
Jean Claude.
Oh,
that's-
Van
Jean
Damme.
Claude. And that's our strong man.
Nice.
And gives us our sense of legitimacy.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
You have
very
really nice writing,
handwriting.
James.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
All right, Kirk.
All right. Kurt.
Don't ever look at my notebooks now that you've seen the nice part.
I do what I want.
Oh.
Yep.
A connection in our location gets you what you need, but at a price. Who? What do you need?
Yeah, I was hoping that question was gonna be there.
What do you need?
Yeah, that's important.
It is important. I kind of want to go along an addiction line here for dark, but and that's why he can't get work as a serious actor. It's depression. It's prohibition.
Let's say, yeah, we're smacking prohibition.
Yeah, at least, yeah. I mean, at least till 33, yeah. So,
Yeah.
A connection in our location, there's a still. It's usually kept,
My first thought is to make it super difficult for him is it's the ringmaster still.
Oh shit!
And Frank's the only one and Frank's the one that runs it.
yeah, no, yeah, or Cookie.
No.
Could be Cookie.
I kind of like the idea of it being Cookie, but the ringmaster's the other person who wants it. So you have to.
Well, he has.
You have to ration the amount
Yeah.
you get with
Yeah.
How much he gets.
The ringmaster can't know somebody else is getting from the
getting
still,
Yeah.
from the
not
still,
by
yeah.
his hand.
Right.
Like he uses that as something
Right.
he
Yeah,
treats
he
his
uses
favorite.
That's his
Right,
carrot.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's his carrot, his
Yes,
favorite.
that
yeah.
that's it. Okay,
Okay,
so
nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Like yeah.
As Kurt meticulously draws.
Yeah,
the
still.
Yeah.
It's almost like a blueprint, like
That
he
is an
built a
excellent
couple.
right. You're really familiar with how stills look, Kurt.
yeah.
I watched a lot of MASH.
Oh,
That makes sense.
bad. That's bad. Oh.
All right, blue card.
Yo.
Oh,
All
I
right.
did label that, sorry.
Our
That's a
location
feature.
has a large recognizable feature. What is it? The Ferris wheel's already up, so let me think about
So is the
something
big
else.
top?
Yeah, the big top.
You can get it. You can switch out the card too if you want something different.
Or flip it over and see if the other one makes better sense. You know, the downside.
Is that in the rules?
We're not playing that version of it, so we'll have to switch cards.
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna
Blue,
look
right?
Exit X. Hit the X.
I can't reach that far.
Okay. My OCD is
Ting!
The pact is complete.
That's
Oh,
my job.
someone vital left our location but returned. Why did they leave? What brought them back?
These are really good questions, Kim.
I like that. Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's 78 cards. And, right? 72.
Times
78,
two.
yeah, 78 cards times two.
So, I have a feeling it's somebody from the sideshow, but I may need the group's help because I can immediately think of like strongman, bearded woman, you know, geek. But there's also usually like little people, and then what else? Like what else is traditional in a sideshow?
the birth defects.
The Lobster Boys, yeah.
Oh,
Lantern
Siamese
shows.
twins. We haven't put a
Siamese
Siamese
twins.
twin.
Lantern shows.
It's a lantern
What
show.
is the
Before movies were really possible,
Right.
you'd have photographs on or drawings on
like a
glass
Nickelodeon?
plates, and you'd shine a lamp through that to make moving pictures.
Backgrounds.
But they were
And then you
they were
would-
like. It was kind of like the Ken Burns effect,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a picture that is moving, and people would do
Like
stage play
talk
little
over.
bits
Oh.
in front of that.
Or they'd
know-
have puppets in the background so that
Yeah.
they didn't have to be perfect, but they would create the right shadow.
Yeah.
And they could be movable.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, I am gonna do that. I like that. Thank you, Kurt. The
Sure.
lantern show.
They were really popular
so-
to the 19th century.
Yeah. So basically, it was still
The puppet master.
someone vital left our location but returned. So yeah, the person that had all of those assets.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They thought that they could go find their successes out west. But they
yeah.
didn't go far enough.
Hooray for Hollywood.
Well, yeah, they ended up in Phoenix, and it didn't work out the way they had thought, and so they came back with a little bit of egg on their face, and so right now they are trying to get back in our good graces because it was more steady income, but also they realized they didn't have to try that hard.
Right.
Whereas everything else and everywhere else they went, they had to kind of
do the whole
work at
show.
it. Yeah.
Right, he could be here and be a big fish, or go out there and be a little fish.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
right,
exactly
yeah.
right.
Right. And he had support in here, whereas
Yeah.
out there is standing, or he or
Yeah.
she were standing alone.
Yeah. I feel like it's actually a brother and sister team.
Ooh, that works.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a lantern.
I got that.
Okay.
It's not that bad of a drawing.
Are we gonna
Also,
use
we've
Gem
said
and Eli
lantern like a
again?
dozen times already, so I assume that's what you were drawing.
I'm gonna go get my kid.
Just
I'll be
because I'm
right
Okay,
I
yeah.
probably would have done it like that.
So the brother and sister
Nerd.
team
The Magic Lantern Show.
I'd use this
were
one.
Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
You would.
the Von Gardners,
Nice.
and so they kind of ran that show, and they're still working, and so they're doing little things extra for everybody else around, so that we start forgiving them for just abandoning us in our time of need. And also, I feel like with all the negative things that have happened lately, it's good influx.
Is their return tied to an end of that bad luck streak?
That's what I'm thinking. Is it? We're not sure yet. but we're hoping it's a positive portent.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a break in the clouds.
It hasn't.
Yeah.
It hasn't borne fruit yet. But
Not yet.
We're hoping. I
Right.
gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I like that, and that's why we're kind of willing to. Well, maybe if they do bring us a little good, but yeah, we need
Yeah.
a little forgiving, you know,
Nice.
Yeah.
clean them back in. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, our group question was: we were involved in a mystery that was never solved. What happened, and why wasn't it solved?
Matt, do you have an idea? Or
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking maybe there was like a robbery of something or a theft of something, but it was like weirdly like one of the elephants went missing.
Yeah, something got stolen from us.
And it was like such an obvious weird thing
Yeah.
that was like, how did they manage to steal this? How could they possibly have gotten away with it?
Right.
And we were trying to investigate and figure out, but unfortunately, we had to leave town before we were able to like fully find out. But it was like a weird theft.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like
I
an
like
elephant
that.
just vanished.
So
Yeah.
So we keep talking about elephants, and I don't want to be the no but we're like, elephants are really expensive, and we're this cash-strapped
It's
traveling
not.
carnival.
Frank
It's
always
not a-
makes sure they get fed.
It's not a healthy one.
Okay.
It's one that's obviously like a very hand-me-down, like an old.
It's
old
an
one.
hand-me-down elephant.
Yeah, it's a hand-me-down
yeah.
elephant.
Yeah.
Well, and I can
Um,
see like
They're playing
the car-
Coachella this year.
I can see like the carnival maybe like used to be like a well-respected circus, and then and then maybe a generation
bad
later
Right.
it's hit bad
Well,
times.
when the depression hit, it
Yeah.
hits everybody.
Yeah.
You know. And
And we can't sell elephant meat.
Wait, what happened?
So
they stole our elephant, man.
So our unsolved mystery, Max suggested a theft from us, that a large, noticeably thing that would be gone, but no evidence of how it went missing.
Right.
Oh, the
And
elephant.
one of the
Yeah.
elephants was suggested.
I
So
like that idea.
would you guys be okay with taking it a level darker?
Okay.
And
Yes.
that at the same time, livestock around the town that we were in and people were also missing, and so that's
Yeah.
why the police didn't help us and stuff like that, because they had their own shit and they were like also kind of looking at us
Right.
Yeah.
until like our elephant went
disappeared.
gone.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
here's the question: is the elephant still gone?
I would
think
say
we
yes,
never
we haven't
recovered
solved
it.
it.
And
Yeah.
especially because things were going bad in the town, we realized we had to kind of cut our losses. And
Yeah.
And so there's rumors in the town about monsters and the plains and maybe werewolves or worse.
I would think that the town is blaming you.
Oh.
But maybe those rumors are
That's
among
my
the people.
spin.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
there might be werewolves out there.
Yeah.
Meh.
So well, and
Took
it could
our
be something
elephant.
that the people in the carnival
Right
believe.
here.
Like there's nothing could have made this. Nothing
There
could have
might
made
be
this
werewolf
elephant
at the table.
disappear.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Very nice. All right. So this last round is the group question. So everyone has a group question. You get to kind of like lead and like have final approval on your card, but it still needs to be like group consensus, kind of group brainstorm for these things. We are still going to do my card the same way we've done all the others, though. So my question for our last card: our group is owed a large debt. What are we owed, and by whom?
One elephant.
I was about to say
from the town of
Very large.
Yeah. So we'll think about that as we go through this.
About
So who wants to?
£6,000.
Beck, have you gone first yet? Okay, well you can go first.
All right. Each person in the group should pick one word to describe a negative aspect of their personality.
So we'll go around the table and
Yeah.
everyone will say one word that describes a negative aspect of your personality. Hyphenated words are allowed if you really, really want to.
I got mine.
Yeah.
The writer has theirs.
Shallow.
Shallow? Okay.
No.
Nice. That's a good one. Any order, it doesn't have to be.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're still thinking,
I'm still thinking.
Frank is intense. Strangely intense.
Yeah, the big top.
in,
Kurt, I'm so proud of you.
That took me a
you don't even
second. I
have
get it.
kids.
I get that reference.
Esmeralda is jealous.
Abelard is broken.
No.
Vic is obsessive.
I can't bring mine to an adjectival form. Self-doubt.
Okay.
Self-doubting.
Self-doubting.
Self-doubt's
It's a noun.
one word. It describes you.
Doubtful.
Didn't say pick an adjective, just said
It's
pick
true.
one word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody else had picked adjectives.
You could have said banana and be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, if everybody walked off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
He might.
All right.
Obviously, there seems to be something to this.
Kurt, why don't you
Yes.
flip over your next card?
All right. There is another group outside that are our rival. I kind of want to X this. I think we already did
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, our
that's-
rivals?
yeah.
Yeah, makes
Good X.
So,
Hit
Good
the
X.
Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, sorry, I was in charge of these. Dereliction of duty.
Good
You're
job.
a derelict. No, wait. Different dick? I don't know.
All right.
I'll work on it.
everyone point to the character in the group they trust the least.
So I'm gonna count to 3, and everyone's gonna do it at the same time. Think time. Think time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Nice.
Yeah, no, this is perfect.
There's a lot of fingers pointing at
I'm pointing at Dick.
There's only
Yeah.
2 pointing at
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, but
actually.
it's like this weird.
That's
circle.
very
it's like the circle out, you know?
I mean, you
Because
said
Mac and I
only
think are on
two,
the
that's
same
still-
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Very
I'm
still a
not
lot.
Mac. Well, we'll do that at synopsis.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. Next purple card. James, what do you?
Okay, sure. Our group supports an infamous, distrustful figure. Who are they, and who do we and why do we support them? I want to.
Silent Cal. Oh, sorry.
No, Jesus. Yes, we already know the ringmaster, so he'd be too obvious. Our group supports an infamous, distrustful figure. Who are they, and why do we support them?
Is that the Games Master?
Cornelius Thistlethwaite III.
Yeah.
Where's
I
that
think
money
so.
come from?
Even
And
though
where's it
even though
going?
he's distrustful, we don't know where it's going. And I would say because of him and his little bit extra wealth, he's never skimped on us to make sure that the circus still kept going forward.
Right,
So
we
That's
take
right.
care of ourselves.
even if
yeah.
the tickets were, we only brought in $50 for some reason, the manager had like 75 to make sure we had that little extra to get us through, and not, it was always lean times, but we always made it through, and I would think that's why we kind of, he's distrustful, but he takes care of us too.
Yeah.
So, question. Calling back to an earlier aspect, talking about the rumors that circulate about Mr. Thistlethwaite.
Yeah.
Is one of those rumors that he helps float the carnival through
Right.
the leaner times.
Yeah.
But nobody can do that forever.
Right.
So is it like, how long is that going to last?
Right.
But also to what end?
Right.
Right. Why is he? Why,
Why
is
did,
he?
Yeah.
He
keeping
doesn't
this-
seem to need us.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe he does. We just don't know how
Yeah,
or
right.
why.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
I like
Good.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Purpura. Together, we failed to reach an important milestone or goal. Why did we fail? You know what? I'm gonna X this one.
Okay.
Because I don't like shared goals in a carnival is just to survive.
Yeah.
And I think we've addressed that.
Okay. I think it's fair.
Fucking carnies. How did our group first meet and what went wrong? This one's probably a little more interesting because while you can have a large group of people traveling together, there are cliques and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, what's the kind of coming together point? Well, let me kind of go back to our missing pachyderm, our pachyderm problem. Was it that all of us had different aspects on that, and we kind of had to come together to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Like, were there
Yeah.
different?
Well, we have the only elephant
Well,
in 3 tours.
Right.
yeah.
And we all like the elephant.
Yeah.
Because elephants are cool. If
And
you
they're
learn about them. They're
helpful.
intelligent and helpful.
Yeah.
We weren't as bad as some of the other carnivals as far as how we worked the elephant. We always made sure she had extra rest and food.
Well,
even
yeah, you
Frank,
gotta.
It's
no,
an elephant,
extra
right?
rest and extra food,
right.
even more than just the elephants need. I
You
mean,
did.
Well,
I didn't. Don't speak for
Okay,
me, motherfucker.
I would say okay. So that was the odd thing. Frank liked the elephant a lot,
Yeah.
more than some of the people.
Yeah.
So Frank always made sure she had extra and bits, and her cage was always the one that didn't rattle, had the best wind protection. I would say that's how Frank felt about the elephant.
Okay.
So going out to kind of find the elephant. Yeah. What?
No, I'm just thinking about this elephant being the thing that ties us all together for our meeting. Like various, Frank's out with the elephant one day, and Abelard goes out because he's in a funk, and he's like, I'm gonna go talk to the elephant. And Frank's there, so they bond, and then like Frank leaves, and Abelard sees Demosthenes there, and they talk, and then Demosthenes sees Esmeralda there, and then just these slow connections that end up with, once the elephant's missing, everybody goes, the six of us are like, that was the best thing about this. And we're like, oh, we all have this shared bond.
That's great.
No, I was just in charge of it, and so
Of course, you're like, well,
Yours
well,
is a sense
my
of responsibility,
job.
maybe.
Yeah.
Your sense of responsibility.
no, it's just
he doesn't
I'm
wanna
in
get
charge
blamed.
of it. There's no sense of
But
responsibility.
maybe
Okay.
seeing that these
Okay.
other five
Okay.
people
Fair
actually
enough.
cared for the elephant, you're like, oh, maybe I should have been better.
No.
Have you met him?
Okay, but what about your character?
Also no.
All right.
Okay, so how are you filling this in for Vic?
Well, from Vic's standpoint, it's just he knows that. Well, number one, he's in charge of the animals. So okay, that means if the biggest one is gone, it might be farther down the mess tent. If indeed not removed completely. So it's less of a sense of obligation, more a sense of survival.
Like, these schmucks are gonna help me find my elephant, so I better be nice to him.
Yeah, I better tolerate them momentarily. Yeah, I don't know if there's nice.
Sure.
We'll see, maybe. I don't know. Conversational?
Tolerant.
Tolerant. Yeah, I like tolerant. Yeah, tolerant.
Civil.
Yeah, civil. Civil sounds good. So yeah, so I think that's what, but then what went wrong aside from not finding said
I
tusk
think that's like the
one?
worst thing that could go wrong is
it?
we just didn't
Well,
find.
it could,
Well, I mean,
it
we
could have
didn't.
just fractured our ties, because we don't really have that central.
Oh, well, were we all looked at by the rest of the staff as failures? Like, did all of our prestige drop within?
Yeah, that we all
I
like
could
that.
say it was dinged a little bit because we seem to be the group of problem solvers. Right? So maybe that was kind of dinged a smidge.
Yeah. Well, and
Because we
also your
couldn't find
connection
it.
to the elephant. You guys kind
Yeah.
of are like the
Yeah, and we felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt bad about it.
squad.
As much as I can
whatever,
feel.
yeah.
The Packy Squad.
The Packy Squad.
That's not really actually about guys for time, but yeah. But yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
I like
Uh-huh.
The Pachyderm Party.
Someone powerful reveals something negative about us. Who was it, and what was revealed?
Sorry, will you read it one more time?
Someone powerful revealed something negative about us. Who was it, and what was revealed?
I got nothing.
Okay, the power in play right now really are just is the sheriff. I'm assuming it's a sheriff.
Well, actually, let's amp it up, right? Because at this point, you had the FBI start
Oh,
coming
yeah.
into play. You had U.S. Marshals around.
But that we're harboring a minor. Maybe the preacher's daughter is
shit.
like
you would still,
16.
you'd still have like the Pinkertons
Yeah.
out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And so
Oh,
they could
right.
have been sent,
Pinkertons.
Maybe
to
they
find her by her
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
It can also be someone powerful, like, because it's talking about your group, the six of you. So
Right.
it can be someone powerful in the carnival who's.
See, that's why I'm thinking it's
I do like the.
Cratchit, the ringmaster.
Yeah, we could tie it together there, but
Kind
yeah,
of like the law enforcement aspect.
right. Like
too,
if
though.
the
Yeah.
feds uncover that he's been laundering money, and there's-
Oh, yeah. Do they think that? I mean, obviously they were obsessed with prohibition at the time. Is in addition to the still, do they think that there's transportation across state lines or something?
Oh.
Yeah.
That were like
Oh, there we
letters.
go.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're in violation of the Volstead Act.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
oh, by the way, you have a minor, and oh, by the way, you have, and so
You
like,
have a
there's
still.
Yeah.
this-
Revealed something negative about us. So the about us is the fact that, yeah, to a certain degree, we are kind of criminals.
yeah, yeah,
More criminals than just being a carny.
right.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
All right.
Okay.
Next one. Correct.
The last one.
What do we do as a group when we are feeling down?
Drink. Sorry, wait. Never mind.
That does fit the tone.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we feel down and we just drink together, and it does not improve things.
No.
But yeah, kind of have like a, since we'd already had this connection between us, so it became sort of like almost a little drinking buddies.
Yeah.
In the
And
empty
maybe- oh,
elephant
sorry.
car.
In the empty elephant.
Oh, my God.
And it might actually even be a little bit toxic that we get together and we just like feed on each other's bad moods, and it's not
Yeah, I
making
can
things
feed on your
better.
bad moods.
Are you talking about our friendship again?
Everything is about our friendship, Rob. Everything.
You two are friends?
It all comes on paper. Legally, required to say yes.
All right, that's all the purple cards?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, going back, our group is owed a large debt. What are we owed and by whom? So your
Somebody
group
owes us
again.
an elephant. No, sorry.
Yeah.
But that was a joke. Let's go no more. Yep, sorry.
Maybe we got hired to do like an actual private event. So some of the carnival was actually brought into a very to like a dance hall to do
Or
like
private
a
estate.
or something like that. And they did not pay us what they said they were going to.
Oh, and to avoid to skip out on paying the bill, they ran us out of town.
Yeah, they called the sheriff.
Or they're probably using all of this criminal activity as a reason to not pay us.
Yeah.
Right.
But a debt, like a debt, in that sense, is usually something that you can cash in. Or the way that I'm
Okay,
hearing the
alright,
card
okay,
is
okay.
something that you can cash in when you need to.
Right.
Right. And so while I like those ideas, I don't know if it matches with my idea of how the card is written. If
Okay,
you guys
okay.
if you guys
Alright.
think of the card as
No,
written as like no, we're pissed off at those person because they owe us, then that's
Well,
fine.
let's explore
So
that.
we're
Which
saying
way
that
would we
somebody
explore it?
owes us a favor. What if the sheriff of the town of Dodge basically hired us to get the daughter out of town?
Ooh.
That she was in a bad situation,
Yeah,
and he said,
no.
"You take her out of
Oh.
town,
Yeah.
and I'll owe you."
I don't
yeah.
want to
We'll look like we pursue, but we won't catch
Right,
you.
right.
Yeah, I don't want to totally disregard Mac's idea though. 'Cause
No.
I think that was a
No.
good idea too. Because the card is written like however you interpret
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
right. So I think those are two really clear interpretations. So maybe we should keep both.
Yeah, bring them
Well,
together.
Well, the other thing is because it was an estate, maybe they had some other, because this was after we lost the elephant, that they said, oh, we have this other like menagerie, we can give you like some animals that could add to your thing, so it could be that they, you know, or we can get you something.
Yeah.
And we
lost
were
an
counting
elephant.
on that to revitalize
make it
the
on it.
circus, and it didn't. The carnival, and it didn't.
Yeah,
happen.
they just took advantage.
Yeah.
You lost an elephant. Here, have a Bengal tiger. Like just as expensive to maintain, but actually can't also work for the carnival.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not as good.
All right. Cool. So we're agreed on both those ideas. I kind of like
Yeah,
both
I
of
think
those
that's
ideas.
good.
Combine them.
They're both
Yeah.
That we were
Yeah.
counting on something to revitalize the circus, and then we did this good deed that makes us look awful.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
I
which
like
is
that.
which is reason we can't get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Cool. All right, so that is all the cards. Generally, at this point, we'd all have notes, and we would start into the campaign, whatever system we were playing. Since we're playing it as a standalone game, what we do to close out is we basically say epilogues of our character, kind of explain our character a little bit. So it can be just a little bit of an explanation of who you kind of feel your character is now after this process, and where you see them in like 3 to 5 years. What do you see as being kind of like the very brief synopsis of what happens after the events that we've created in this. So does anyone want to begin?
I have some thoughts. I have such a clear picture of this Mr. Z guy.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I think he bails on the carnival as soon as like the big corporate chain comes through. The Barnum, I don't know. If
Barnum and Bailey.
Ringling,
Were they
well,
around?
yeah, Ringling
Yeah.
Brothers.
Ringling Brothers was
Barnum.
P.T. Barnum was around for
Yeah,
years.
so
Bailey. Yeah.
So he was just like as soon as he gets an opportunity, he's out, and he becomes like a publicist for a major circus, and doesn't even so shallow. He doesn't even like realize that he's kind of part of the fabric, and he just doesn't look back.
Okay.
So we're going
Sells
dark.
out.
All right.
I got something for that.
So in the whole process, I thought a lot about the character and why Abelard is broken, and he probably lost a wife and child at some point, and then his child would have been about the same age as the preacher's daughter when she joined us, and he saw this as like a way for him to be a father again, and then when she left, it just devastated him, and he probably drank himself to death.
So this is an upper.
Right.
I mean, some of you can have happy endings too. I mean, they don't all have to
Oh, mine's gonna be happy for me.
be okay, yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't have to be happy for the group. But I'm just saying, just because we have
Yeah.
a dark tone doesn't mean there isn't
Right.
like an ending that can
Right,
be.
right.
But I also really like these endings.
I've got sort of a middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So in the off season, like winter,
Basically.
Demosthenes heard of an opportunity to play an actual theatrical role in Chicago.
Okay.
And not the show Chicago, but in the city Chicago. And he went there and he failed out, whether it was because of the drink or whether it was because he's rusty in his acting chops or whatever. He failed out, and he comes back to the carnival when it's time to pick up for the spring season. You know, head low. This is all I'm good for. But at least here I have family. So he doesn't actually want to do this. This is all he thinks he can do.
Right.
And where he finds some level of acceptance
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's not what he wants, but he feels it's what he deserves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good way to
pretty much.
All right.
Can I play off of Abelard's?
Absolutely.
So I was thinking it would be interesting because he lost, the wife and child. That basically Esmeralda sort of adopts Priscilla, and for a while Abelard and Esmeralda have a thing. So it's almost like he's got a reconnected family. But then things go poorly for them, and they end up splitting up, and so it's just like he's kind of lost
There's
everything
one more, yeah.
again. And after Abelard burns himself to death, I think she ends up leaving the circus with Priscilla and tries to continue on sort of doing mysticism jobs here and there.
So Clarice was the daughter.
Was
Right,
the
yes.
was
Was the
the
preacher's
was
daughter.
preacher's
The
daughter.
preacher's daughter. Okay. All right. Cool. So Vic stayed with the carnival for a few different years. Would often jump into other circuses during the off season. Years later, after he just kind of set up shop in the middle of Oklahoma, just kind of got out of it, a notebook was found that chronicled every single person he murdered along the route,
Oh, wow.
Oh.
including Clarice.
Oh,
I like
that's
that.
dark.
I like
Wow,
that.
nice.
I knew it. I should have pointed at you. I should have pointed at you. I thought about it. I was like, it was like 51-49.
If you think about it, though, he was the one that broke part of the family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was a big thing for you.
That was the 51.
Yeah.
But I should have pointed at him.
Okay.
All right,
So-
big jinx.
So mine was very early on. Frank was a crossroads demon, and he distrusted Esmeralda because he knew she has real talent. So he used that to keep him sharp because he had to keep himself disguised, but not enough to where she didn't quite distrust him. And he used the circus to find people to make deals with.
Right.
And if you're okay with it, one of the deals was I made a deal with him to make sure he never got caught as long as he stayed with me.
Nice.
So that I could also, the people looking for their loved ones or whatever, resurrections, etc. And that was his thing. And when everybody got low, it just kind of was that side meal to go, oh yeah, it's like sitting in a sauna. It was like just good and relaxing. It's like, oh yeah, they're all miserable.
Yeah.
But his deal to himself was to keep this going. He would never lie to these people as long as they never asked him about his reality. So that's why he was good with the advice and very honest with them, but also very intense because it's like, where's that level?
Yeah.
So
That
we
was-
have we have H.H. Holmes here
Nice.
and
Crossroads.
Mephistopheles
Yeah.
over here.
That was good.
Esmeralda keeps pulling the devil card every time she
Yeah, for some reason. That's why he never wanted a fortune from her, but every time she, well, what about Frank?
Didn't I
It's like,
shuffle
devil.
these?
It always came up the same
Power?
set.
What?
Every single time it was the same set. You quit doing it after a while. It's like, I don't understand this because he's just a human.
Predict what they're gonna be.
Awesome. Great job, you guys. Yay! So that's Decuma. If you're interested in it and you're listening or watching, you can visit goldenlassogames.com/Decuma. You can download the beta right now. And what we're going to do right now is Rob's going to run like a bit of a debrief to collect feedback and thoughts and just experiences from this, or if you've played it another time. I'm going to leave the room, so you guys feel free to just like say what you want. And yeah,
Because it won't be on video.
well, yeah, but it's easier
Right,
to
'cause
say
she's
something.
not gonna watch it later.
Yeah, well, it's easier to say something without like the person here, and I know
Yeah.
the video's there, but I think it's also cool for people to kind of see like the feedback process, because this is part of games that often isn't seen by people. So
Whatever. I want to say it to your face. This is fucking awesome.
Yes, I'm enjoying the hell out of both times
All
I've
right,
played
Kimmy,
this.
I'm not afraid to say it to
Yeah.
your face.
okay, but
And I will tell you, my next D&D campaign, instead of using PBTA to get my players
Okay.
together, I'm going to make them play this.
Yeah.
that's exciting. Okay.
I'd love to stay for the feedback, but the kids here, and we're gonna go. and have lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Arrivederci. Buongiorno.
Finger gun.
Yeah, I'd never say it to Kimi's face, but she put together a really great game.
Yeah, don't beat the ego.
Never.
No, can't feed that ego.
No, this strikes me as an excellent tool for
Oh, yeah,
for,
absolutely.
for creating a campaign and developing an investment, getting that
Right.
early buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
that's always been my biggest issue with games, is that early buy-in of getting players to form the bonds with each other,
Yeah.
and to be invested in their location and the things that have already happened. This builds in a backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's one of those things that I despise about the trope about you all meet in a bar or you're all
yeah.
suddenly or
Yeah.
whatever. I hate that first, especially for a one shot, but for even for a campaign, that first X number of hours where it's
Right.
the player characters don't have any reason to trust one another. They have no ties to one another
Right.
at all. And so I usually just sort of hand wave as like, you have all worked together before,
Right.
and
That's
things about
always
each other.
my default
Right.
of,
Yeah.
well, you all grew up together,
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
know
I've
each
had to
other.
do that
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
Or
No.
I have to tell the players, yes, you trust each other.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And this circumvents the hand waving aspect. It's like,
Right.
okay, why do you know? What do you know?
Exactly.
Right.
How do you know?
Right.
These are the things about that create those ties. So it's like, oh, you might not trust that other player character, but now you have very specific reasons for
I,
it.
yeah, I definitely think it makes character relationships more real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's questions like, they did something bad to you, but you forgave them or something like that. What happened?
Right.
And it builds in events and ties that make it just, because we're in the same party, we have to
Right,
like each other,
right.
we have to talk to
Exactly,
each other.
yeah.
It makes a real relationship because I'm not a fan of everything Rob's ever done.
So
liar.
one thing, I don't know if Kimmy's explored this aspect, but something that I thought about with this was you could actually use this to build the NPC side of your campaign.
Oh, absolutely.
Playing it
Yeah.
as like a
Just
single
Absolutely.
player.
You,
Because, I mean,
you
yeah.
delve and
I
you
was just
create
about
the
to make that
character.
point.
Yeah.
I'm planning on using this for an upcoming game myself for a vampire game.
Right.
And because there's no system really built in for it, and I just feel like this is a really great way to like let some of the players do the heavy lifting of the world building, and
Yeah.
then it feels more personal to them.
Right.
But for NPC generation and also for locations,
Right.
that
You-
they frequent. You don't have to be like in the middle of a game going, okay, well, where's the bar that you go to? Because you already know from your
Right.
creation.
And even just like for some campaigns for the background, you could play a single player game of this and just start filling in NPC names and stuff, kind of as a brainstorming exercise to explore as a way to build the other world. And then you could take the same game and you have NPCs and they can build those parts of it, and then you just find where they meld a little bit and give you a expanded world very easily. And if you don't use parts of it, no big deal. If you use parts of it, you've got things readily available.
Sure.
That's
This-
a really great idea.
And I see two amazing things here. One, this replaces box text.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You don't have just
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and read exposition for you.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they already know it. They
Right.
lived through
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
also, like, I've been in a dry spell for the last several months. I have had no ideas at all for games to run, campaigns, one-shots, nothing. I couldn't run anything at this con because I had no ideas. This is an idea generator.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
can break a writer's block,
Right.
Yeah.
or at least help.
Yeah.
I'm currently running a campaign through Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the
Yeah.
level
Okay.
5 through 20
Mhm.
mega dungeon that Wizards put out,
Yep.
and it's really light on story.
Oh, extremely.
There's
Yeah,
like, there's
I
like
would
what's
be,
the
yeah.
character
It's
mode?
a
It's
classic
basically just a
crawl.
dungeon crawl,
Right.
And I was struggling with that recently, and I almost canceled the game because I'm like I can't motivate my players to go through this. It's just, why are you going to the next room? Well, there's probably a goblin in there for me to murder and get a
Right.
point.
Right.
So I'm thinking about taking this and running it for the dungeon
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
to,
okay.
to
Yeah.
create some story in the dungeon that I can then feed to the players.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
explanation for why Black Cloak is doing this. That kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other nice thing with that and using it as a supplement is that you can break out this system into whatever pieces you need. So
Right.
you can completely skip the location cards.
Right.
Mhm.
No kidding.
If
Just do
you
characters,
have
just do
like
group.
character
Yeah.
connection stuff that you just want to skip, you can curate the cards
Yeah.
and decide these are questions that I don't want my players to
Right, yeah.
have
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't really
Yeah. You
assist
can
anything.
take the things out of the deck and then and shuffle it a certain way. That way you have what you want to question, and then let the
Yeah.
group create around that structure. I think that's a beautiful idea.
Yeah, it's very modular in that
Yes.
way.
So really quickly, we've all talked about or what you guys have all talked about things that you really liked. I want to go through because I mean, like negative feedback also
Right,
helps, or like
right.
constructive
Sure.
feedback.
Constructive feedback.
Yeah.
I do have one
Well,
point on that. Yeah.
go for it.
So one thing that was initially confusing, we kind of got into the understanding of it with more and more cards are drawn, but the blue card specifically, where it says our location. At first I'm like, does this mean that we're still in Dodge City? Does this mean that we're
Yeah, a little clarity on location, or use a different word.
Yeah, maybe use a different term. It's like this locate or this focus point or
This
or
environment,
This environment.
this-
Some
I think
Story.
the way we framed it might have been causing some of that issue. We were
may have,
in
yes.
a mobile location,
Right, yeah.
but yeah, I can definitely see a little more
but yeah,
clarity
just
on
maybe maybe it's a focal point rather than a
Yeah.
location, because as she said, it doesn't necessarily have to be
Yeah.
a
Physical
A
location.
physical location. It can be an object
Right.
within
Yeah.
the location that is.
So a different word
Yeah.
for that lets you broaden the scope of it.
Yeah, yeah, that might help.
Yeah, and I gave this
or
to
if
her
it's
last
covered
night.
in
But
the
so it,
explanation, I don't know.
yeah, I gave this to her last night. So it's written down. The font could be a smidge bigger, a little more contrast than with the rest of the cards, so it's a little easier to read because some of us get old, and it's hard to read some of that. But the cards themselves, I liked her idea about the backgrounds. Don't stick with fantasy.
Right.
I don't know if the shadow play is a great way to go, but it's definitely better because it makes it more use your imagination.
As
And then the
yeah.
backs do need to be different so that you can avoid
Yeah.
colorblind
You
issues
need a
and
shape.
stuff like that. Get
Yeah,
shapes.
I mean, I'm not colorblind, and I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
blue?
trying to remember blue is what. So yeah,
Even if it
definitely,
just said, character, location, party.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something like that.
Right. Yeah.
something iconographic that makes them different, just so that you can remember what they're for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mechanically, my only comment is I would have a separate card, because I think the X card is something that shouldn't be. When it's used as, I'm very uncomfortable talking about this, but also maybe I want a different card.
How about a suggestion? So you have the X card for its classic meaning, and then you have like the circle with the line through it, as
Yeah.
in I'm not
Yeah,
liking this
something like
idea.
that, just to differentiate,
I want to out
because-
this.
So one of the comments that I've heard about that though is that this helps to normalize using the
Sure.
X
Yes.
card.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
true.
So it's
true.
like it doesn't have to be.
uncomfortable.
It doesn't have to imply some traumatic experience
Right.
in your own
It's not
personal
only
player
trigger
background.
warnings.
It's
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
let's
want
move
this.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's move
that's
on.
a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we discussed this on the podcast at one point
Yeah.
about like the different variations
Yeah.
and what we can do and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think
and
that's-
normalizing it so that
Yeah.
more people are
Yeah.
more comfortable putting it out. Like I've told my group at my games they can X anything they want, but I haven't put a physical X card out because we've been together long enough to where we can usually gauge
Yeah.
it, and we're pretty open about I'm not comfortable with that. But I do like the idea of using it to help normalize. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
makes sense.
definitely.
I think the one thing that I would maybe just like let people have an option at. I personally am not as big of a fan of the map drawing because I find it gets a little stressful and cluttered. I would do it without like when I eventually run this for my campaign. I plan on not including like an actual physical map because it is the whole city, and I just don't want people to feel too pigeonholed on what they can do. I feel like it works maybe better for smaller things, but when you start getting bigger in scale, I don't know.
So maybe have the option where you can have just a list of things, places, and people kind of thing.
And that's
that way, just write the notes, a more formal note down. Yeah, I like that.
my
I
plan.
think that's an option.
So instead of a single sheet of paper as the note, as the map, maybe like taking the fate idea of you have zones and you put your location is on an index card, and they just
That's an idea.
Oh yeah, and then
Play
you
it all out.
Then you can
Yeah.
lay them out. Yeah, exactly.
Lay out index cards instead of drawing a map.
And I also feel like for some groups, this would be really fun because they get to like draw on a little map. But for some people, I know even the idea of having to sketch something out is really stressful to them. So if you have like note cards, you can just actually write it out.
Or maybe at least if it's a map, if you don't want to draw something, just write the keywords down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In a spot.
Yeah.
And then that way it's not you have to draw, it's just put the note on the map and it can just be words, or if you feel like drawing a picture, you can draw something to represent it and give them that option. That way the comfort level is, oh, I don't have to draw something. I can just go, okay, so church and Reverend Brown, and just write it down and you're good. And you don't have to do any more.
Yeah.
And then that way they've got that option.
Yeah.
And it gives you more room that if you want to flesh Reverend Brown out by adding like an adjective or something like that to do something.
And it also, using the cards instead of one sheet of paper. If I wanted to right now add something to our map that is really tight space in there, all I have to do is move the cards apart.
Yeah.
That's
card in
true.
between.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's more okay. Cool. Well, anything
And
else?
The last feedback is if this was going to be a campaign, is she planning to do it as Powered by the Apocalypse or some other system, or is she going to have her own card-based conflict resolution thing to evolve the cards in, or is she just making it as an open PBTA, but this is the builder?
I think this is supposed to be system
it's
agnostic.
just the
like
builder.
it can be plugged into anything.
and that's I think because she did say, oh, then you can go into your campaign,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a neutral thing, which was cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted a little clarity, so
But that's
maybe
by design.
yeah, and maybe clarify
Okay,
that.
clarify, yeah.
Clarify that's part of the design. It's it's completely system agnostic, and you can do how you want. And
It's-
that
it's
she's
the
not
game-
putting a game system into it.
It's the game before the game.
Because a couple times she's explained, it's like, oh, so this is going to be a game system type thing,
Right,
and this
yeah.
is the cool starting point, which I, in all honesty, would be really cool about. But just be a little more clarity on that.
Got it. Okay.
The only other suggestion that I would have with regards to the artwork is that down the road she has multiple different artwork style decks available.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's part of the goal
Like
Flux.
from what
Like
she's-
Flux, sure,
From what I've heard her say before, that's
Yeah.
part of the goal.
Yeah.
And I also find that fascinating because I actually do read tarot, and so
Right.
I'm looking forward to not only using it for game generation, but also using it as a legit
Yeah,
tarot
that would be
deck.
kind of
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. Okay. Thanks everybody.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
This is a
Thank
fantastic
you.
game.
Thank you guys for watching.
Somebody has to know how to hit
Anybody?
the keyboard.
Hey Kimmy, can you stop it?
I got it.
We're done.
Kimmy.
We're done
We're gonna
talking.
stop the shit.
Yeah. We're done talking shit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.